A very good morning to all the students of class 9th A. First of all, welcome back after your summer vacations. I hope you had a great holidays. You enjoyed a lot. I know all of you needed rest and you've got it. So after coming back from the vacations, as you know that we are going to resume with our online classes. We'll continue with the syllabus. Before the vacations, you were given the art integrated project. I hope you all have completed it, followed the instructions given in the video provided. So if you are having any doubt, you can ask me definitely, and please follow the proper format of the art integrated project. Do complete it, and the mode of submission will be provided to you shortly. We were doing this lesson, The Sound of Music, where we had already completed with part 1, that is based on the life history of Evelyn Glennie, who was deaf, who was profoundly deaf, but despite that, she managed to become one of the famous multi-percussionists in the whole world and became an inspiration for all the deaf children. And she proved that there is nowhere that anyone cannot go. The second part of the lesson is the Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. Think of the Shehnai, and the first thing you'll probably think about is what? The first name that will come to your mind is Ustad Bismillah Khan only, the Shehnai maestro playing the instrument. You might have seen the Shehnai players in the movies playing the Shehnai in a wedding ceremony or in some good occasion, right? So here in the lesson you will come across that how Shehnai came into existence. Earlier, what type of instrument was changed into a Shehnai? There was an instrument called Pungi, which was played where? In the courts of Emperor Aurangzeb. Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called Pungi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pungi became the generic name for reeded noisemakers. Few had thought that it would one day be revived. A barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to the royal palace decided to improve the tonal quality of the Pungi. Now, basically, Pungi had a very shrill voice, therefore, it was given the name of a generic name for reeded noisemakers because it had a shrill sound. There was a barber who had access to the royal palace. He decided to improve the tonal quality of this instrument called Pungi. What he did is, he picked up a pipe and made few holes on the body of the Pungi. When he played on it, by closing and opening of the holes, a soft melodious sounds were produced. He played the instrument before royalty and everyone was impressed. So when he decided to improve the tonal quality of the Pungi, and he made an effort by picking a stem and a hollow stem and making holes on it, he finally succeeded in producing a melodious voice. He showed the same thing in front of the emperor, the royalty, and everyone was impressed. The instrument was little different from Pungi, so it has to be given a new name. As you can see here on the book here, the picture of Pungi and Shehnai. You can see the differentiation between the two instruments. So this instrument had to be given a new name. So As it was played in the Shah's chambers and was played by a nai, therefore the instrument was named the Shehnai. Sheh comes from the Shah's chambers and nai is barber. Therefore, the instrument called to be as Shehnai, and that is how Shehnai came into existence and how its name was formed. The sound of the Shehnai began to be considered auspicious, and for this reason it is still played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. In the past, the Shehnai was part of the Naubat, or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. The sound of the Shehnai began to be considered very auspicious, means bringing good fortune, promising to bring good fortune. So now, as it was considered very auspicious, therefore it started being played in temples, in weddings, and also the Shehnai was taken into consideration of the 9 instruments found at royal courts, and these 9 instruments present at the royal courts were known as Naubat, and Shehnai was also one of the 9 instruments. Even today also it is being played in the temples, weddings, and all the credit for bringing Shehnai onto the classical stage goes to none other than but Ustad Bismillah Khan. Now, in the next paragraph, you will come across that as a childhood, during his childhood, how Bismillah Khan came to know about Shehnai, what was the impact of his family members on the Shehnai that he played, and what role his paternal and maternal parents have played on his life's journey. So as a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played Gilli Danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Dumrao in Bihar. So when Bismillah Khan was 5 years old, he would play Gilli Danda near a pond where in Dumrao in Bihar. There was a temple called Biharji Temple. He would go there regularly, sing the Bhojpuri Chaita, and at the end of it he would get what? A laddu, a big laddu by the local Maharaj, which weighed 1.25 kgs. And this story, when he was 5-year-old, is before of 80 years ago. So as a 5-year-old, he would sing Bhojpuri Chaita at the Biharji temple, getting a laddu weighing 1.25 kgs by the local Maharaj. And now after 80 years, the same little boy playing Gilli Danda, singing Bhojpuri Chaita, has travelled so far that today he's being honoured. He has been honoured with the highest civilian award in India, that is the Bharat Ratna. Bismillah Khan was born on 21st March 1916. He belonged to the family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather, what was the name of his grandfather? The name of his grandfather was Rasool Bucks Khan, who was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpur king's court. His father Paigambar Bucks and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So, Bismillah Khan belonged to a well-known family of musicians. His grandparents, his grandfather, that is Rasool Bucks Khan, his father Paigambar Bucks, his paternal ancestors, all of them were great Shehnai players. So obviously, when he looked at his parents, when he looked at his grandfather since his childhood, he learned a lot from them, and automatically he adapted this talent and took to music at a very early age. When he was just 3 years old, his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Banaras. Now, the Banaras is known as Varanasi, but earlier it was known as Banaras. So, when Bismillah Khan was just 3 years old, he was taken to Banaras by his mother to his maternal uncle's house. Maternal uncle's means from his mother's side. Bismillah Khan was really fascinated. He was really impressed when he looked at his uncle playing Shehnai. And what was the name of his uncle? The name of his uncle is Ali Baks. So Ali Baks would go to the Vishnu temple of Banaras, where he was employed. He was employed there, and he was employed to play what? To play the Shehnai. When Ali Baks would play the Shehnai at the temple, the other hand, Bismillah Khan would look at his uncle, fascinated by his skills of playing Shehnai. He would sit for hours and hours captivated in the music produced by the Shehnai. Slowly and gradually he learned from his uncle. He started getting lessons from him in how to play the instrument, and he would practice playing the instrument daily and in fact throughout the day. Then for years and years he kept on practicing daily playing the Shehnai at the temple of Balaji and Mangla Maiya and the banks of the Ganga. So these were the two places where he spent most of his younger days, and both these places became his favorite haunts where he would practice in solitude. Solitude means the state of being alone. He enjoyed his own company because the flowing water of Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. So this is what the Ustad Bismillah Khan created difference from other musicians. He would play Shehnai but improvising each and every day, inventing new ragas, which was quite impossible for other musicians to play it on the Shehnai. But Ustad Bismillah Khan practiced it whole day, inventing new ragas, and sometimes he would play amazingly, which was beyond the range of the Shehnai. So this was possible only by Ustad Bismillah Khan. When he attained the age of 14, he got this opportunity to accompany his uncle to the Allahabad Music Conference. When he attended the Allahabad Music Conference, he also got this opportunity to play Shehnai onto this stage, where he was heard by another musician, Ustad Fayaz Khan. When Ustad Fayaz Khan listened to Bismillah Khan at the conference, he was really impressed and encouraged Ustad Bismillah Khan, patted the young boy's back and said, "Work hard and you shall make it." Ustad Fayaz Khan identified his talent and encouraged him by telling him to work hard, and definitely he's going to make a big name in this music industry. Then he got this encouragement from him, and now in the year 1938, with the opening of All India Radio in Lucknow, came a blessing in disguise in the life of Ustad Bismillah Khan. He got his biggest break. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. So now the second opportunity that he got is that he got this chance to play Shehnai in the All India Radio in Lucknow, which was opened in the year 1938. Now next, When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai. So, this was again the biggest opportunity that Ustad Bismillah Khan got in his life, that he became the first Indian to greet the nation after the independence. He poured his heart out into Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Pandit Jawahar Lal Nehru, who later gave his famous Tryst with Destiny speech. On the day of the independence, he played Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to the whole audience, where Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, was also present, where he gave his famous speech called Tryst with Destiny. After that, his journey never ended. He kept on climbing the ladders of success. He had given many memorable performances, not only in India but also in abroad countries. His first abroad trip was to Afghanistan, where the king of Afghanistan, Zahir Shah, was so taken away by this maestro, Ustad Bismillah Khan, that after listening to his beautiful music that he played through Shehnai, he gifted him priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. What is the meaning of souvenirs? Souvenirs means things that are being given in the memory of a place, person, or event. So, Zahir Khan gifted him priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. The king of Afghanistan was not the only one who was fascinated with Bismillah Khan's performance. There were many more people. When we talk about from the film fraternity, there was a director called Vijay Bhatt. He was so much impressed by Ustad Bismillah Khan that he named a film after the instrument called Goonj Uthi Shehnai. He was impressed by Bismillah Khan, and therefore he named his first movie as Goonj Uthi Shehnai. And the movie was a hit. Then there were few compositions by Ustad Bismillah Khan. One is Dil Ka Khilona Hai To Toot Gaya. It also turned out to be a nationwide chartbuster. And despite this huge success in the celluloid world, Bismillah Khan's ventures in film music were limited to two: Vijay Bhatt's Goonj Uthi Shehnai and Vikram Srinivasa's Kannada venture Sanadhi Apanna. So he gave his two compositions in the two movies, Vikram Bhatt's Goonj Uthi Shehnai and Srinivas Kannada venture Sanadhi Apanna. But Bismillah Khan's ventures were limited only to. Why? There was a big reason behind it. He never contributed there in this film industry because he believed, I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world. So what he did not like about the film fraternity, he did not like the artificiality and glamour. He thought that music is really pure, and he now left making compositions for the films, but he kept on inventing his own ragas, performing in India, abroad, because for him film industry was all about artificiality and glamour, where he could not connect really well there. and therefore he left it. Awards and recognition came thick and fast. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. So, he was the first one to greet the nation on the Independence Day with his Shehnai. Second, he was also the first Indian to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. He also took part in the World Exposition, in the Cannes Art Festival, and in the Osaka Trade Fair. So, he became quite famous internationally that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him. What was the name of the auditorium? Tahar Mosik Ustad Bismillah Khan. So, he was not only famous in India but also in all over the world, that he got this opportunity to be invited at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall. Then he also attended the World Exposition in Montreal and Cannes Art Festival in Osaka Trade Fair, and an auditorium was also named after him, that is Tahar Mosque Ustad Bismillah Khan. He got many awards like the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, the Padma Vibhushan, and the highest civilian award, that is Bharat Ratna, in the year 2001. He was filled with happiness when he received the Bharat Ratna award. At the stage, he shared his happiness and he greeted the audience by saying, "Teach your children music. That is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to learn our music." So, he encouraged the people present there, he encouraged the parents, children, everybody. He told them that teach your children music. And as you know that our Hindustan, our India is full of this different classical music, tradition, culture. Like, the Western people, they are coming to India to learn it from us. They are learning the classical music, the classical dances, yoga and everything. And why can't we teach our own children? So he inspired, he encouraged the parents present there to encourage their own children to learn music. In fact, everybody in the Western countries, they are attracted towards our culture, our tradition, our music. They're learning it. So we should also inspire our children of our own country to learn music. In spite of having traveled all over the world, Khan Saab, as he is fondly called. So how Ustad Bismillah Khan was fondly called? He was fondly called as Khan Saab. His fondness with the two places, that is Banaras and Dumrao, could not be taken away. Even if he traveled the whole world, he would always think about these places, and he could not keep him away for much longer from these places. One of his students from the USA wanted Ustad Bismillah Khan to stay in the same country, that is US. He promised Ustad Bismillah Khan to create the same atmosphere just like Banaras, replicating the temples and everything, so that Bismillah Khan could stay with them, teach them music and be with them forever. But what Ustad Bismillah Khan has to say about it, let's look at it. He gave a very beautiful reply which shows his true love for his own country. He told to his student if he would be able to transport river Ganga as well. So when his student promised him to recreate the atmosphere by replicating the temples in Banaras, he in fact gave a befitting reply saying that whether will you be able to transport river Ganga here? His student was speechless as he had no answer. He is remembered to have said that whether he's there in the foreign country, he always yearned for his own country, Hindustan, India. He also says that attending conferences, giving performances in Mumbai, he just had a thought of two places, that is Banaras, the holy Ganga, and when he was present in Banaras, he would always think about Dumrao, and especially the unique Mattha of Dumrao, which is present in Bihar. So these two places played a very, very significant role in Ustad Bismillah Khan's life, and whether he's traveling abroad, he's there in the Mumbai, he would always think about these two places and would return here because he could not resist himself from these two lovely places that had a great impact on his life, where he actually got the inspiration and his journey of becoming a Shehnai maestro started. If you look at this orange box, you will see that there is an interview going on between Bismillah Khan and Shekhar Gupta. A question is being asked from Bismillah Khan. Look at his answer. Beautifully said. Shekhar Gupta asked him, when partition happened, didn't you and your family think of moving to Pakistan? See, this is a little bit of controversial question that is being asked to Ustad Bismillah Khan, but he gave a beautiful reply which not only showed that he was a witty person, but also his love for his own country, that is India. God forbid me leave Banaras? Never. I went to Pakistan once. I crossed the border just to say I have been to Pakistan. I was there for about an hour. I said namaskar to the Pakistanis and salam alaikum to the Indians. I had a good laugh. So he gave this beautiful reply to Shekhar Gupta that he had been to Pakistan only once. He stepped on there, stayed for an hour, just to have been said that he had been to Pakistan. He said namaskar to the Pakistanis and salam alaikum to Indians, and he had a good laugh there. Ustad Bismillah Khan is a perfect example of a rich culture heritage of India, one that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. So here, belonging to the Muslim community, he played music there at the Kashi Vishwanath temple, and he is the perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India. He made India proud. He made his own country proud all over the world, international platforms, abroad. He had his own name, and whenever the name of the Shehnai is taken, it's always Ustad Bismillah Khan. This Ustad Bismillah Khan, singing maestro, will always be remembered as he's no more. He passed away on 21st August 2006 at the age of 90 after a prolonged illness. He was not well, and he was given a state funeral, and the government of India declared one day of national mourning. So this is a beautiful story, you could say, a life's journey of Ustad Bismillah Khan, how from a small state of Dumrao in Bihar to becoming a Shehnai maestro, how his journey was. He may have faced a lot of difficulties, but there was no looking back, as he was very passionate about music, about Shehnai, that though he may faced Though he may have faced many hurdles, but there was no stopping, never looking back, learning, inventing, becoming better each and every day. And at last, he reached the ladders of success, he reached the heights of success. And whenever there is Shehnai, Ustad Bismillah Khan will always be remembered.